Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pixelists podcast, the podcast about all the nerdy things we love and enjoy. I'm Will, that's Blake, and today we're here to talk about some Last of Us, episode
Yes,
6.
that's right. This did much better on my psyche compared to the last episode.
True, man. What
Yeah.
this was well, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'll save that for just a minute. I was about to give you my thoughts on the episode. I don't think we have really any announcements. Actually, now that I'm sitting
No,
here.
I would just say episode. So if you're just checking out the channel for the first time, we do a lot of reactions to. It's mostly our favorite games turned to movies or shows, like The Last of Us. But we do a lot of D&D content as well. And so if you like D&D, you can check that out too. And then also, if you have been enjoying D&D and you've kind of fallen out from Critical Role, you should definitely check out this next Thursday's episode because it's episode 50.
Bro,
And looking to be a doozy.
man.
So, anyhow.
I'm excited to talk about. I mean, it hadn't even happened yet, so I don't even know what we're going to talk about, but I'm just excited for our episode 50 discussion because I feel like a lot's going to happen. This isn't the place to talk about it, but this is my last chance to predict. So our Critical Role people might not even listen to this, but I do want to say I wouldn't be surprised if we got a new intro for episode 50.
Ooh.
Like an animated intro, maybe?
I would be surprised because I think someone's going to die. So I think they would wait till after episode 50.
Okay.
They can
always update the intro.
That's true. They cut up my boy Robbie Damon out of the intro.
Because,
they just pulled him right out.
Yeah. Because those things take a long time. So, like, if they were waiting till post episode 50, we probably wouldn't get it till like episode 100 in that case. Like, if they didn't start till after 50.
That's true. That's fair.
So, yeah, anyway, that's irrelevant for what we're talking about today, but I wanted to sneak that little prediction in.
Okay. I'm about it.
Yeah. And, real quick, we are doing a giveaway at 5,000 subs. So if you're checking out this channel, maybe on podcast platform, head on over to YouTube, maybe click subscribe if you're interested in that. I haven't actually looked in the last few days, but I think we're only a couple hundred away. So getting close to that.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, we're close for sure. Yeah, we are at 4,800 subs.
Yeah, so it's coming up. And we still need to figure this out, but we might give away a copy of Tal'Dorei Reborn, but especially if you're listening to us via The Last of Us, you're like, what's that? So we might do something else, I'm not sure. But I have had a few people comment and say that, like, oh no, we would like Tal'Dorei Reborn still. But I know that's like one random person saying that probably isn't indicative of the entire Pixelist community. But anyways, we're still figuring out what the giveaway will be for. But yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little episode 6. Gut reaction.
Really liked it. This might have been one of my favorite episodes of the whole season, honestly. It's tough because, like, it didn't.
What's that meme? The GIF of the blinking guy.
I don't mean this. I don't mean this in a negative way.
One of the best.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. I should let you air your opinion first.
I'm completely open to anyone, to the people saying that's ridiculous. That's fair, because not really much happened in the sense, and stuff happened. That's not the right way to put it, but like we didn't have any like high octane zombie stuff. There wasn't like a really emotional moment. Well, there were some emotional moments. I don't know. I just liked it because it was very like I don't know, like we just got to explore kind of the Joel's deeper psyche, and I really enjoyed those moments. And I don't know, I just thought it was cool to see like this Jackson Hole commune like come to life. And the cliffhanger at the end, of course, is a juicy one. But I don't know. I mean, I guess I would really have to like go back and look. But I really enjoyed this episode at the very least. So I'll put it that way.
It's good.
What's your rebuttal?
I liked it. I liked the episode. I thought it was a good episode. I think it was the second weakest behind episode 4. But I liked it. I feel like this was the first episode, not the first one. I felt the way of episode 4, but it felt it did feel as strong writing wise. Like there were some really high points
Hmm.
for me, like Joel and Ellie's conversation when Joel's basically like, "You're leaving with my brother." Joel and his brother had some good dialogue too. The panic attacks felt really forced to me. Like they popped up in this episode and then seemingly resolved by the end once the character having them expressed what was happening. So that felt a little forced to me. And then also the university sequence at the end. In the game, I feel like they didn't do it justice for the game,
Okay.
which I was kind of feeling like that may be happening because, and I think honestly they've run out of time. I think it's like, okay, we got to finish. There's a lot still to cover in this season, but in the game, it is much more dramatic, much more drawn out, and it's also one of the first opportunities we have to see Ellie step into the role of the main character. Because Joel, like we saw in this episode, does get injured. He gets injured not as they're leaving the university, but on the tail end of the university, and then Ellie has to sort of like drag him out while fighting her way out. And I guess maybe in taking the video game part out of it, maybe that would have felt awkward or weird. Like now Ellie can suddenly like fight these hardened, raiders. But
Yeah.
I think my biggest complaint is just how the university sequence kind of fell flat in my mind. So
Okay. Yeah, that's fair because that's again, I like don't remember the game that well, so like I don't have that comparison that I'm drawing. So I can't really comment on that, but I think that's totally fair. Like if I had a better memory, I'd probably feel the same way.
well, in the
Is
university,
God.
sorry, I was
No.
just saying the university sequence is a little bit more. It's not really longer or really even more meaningful in the game, but it was so quick in the show that it left me wondering why did it even need to. Like I almost felt like it had to be in for like fan service, but like plot wise, they were there for a couple of minutes. Oh, they're actually in, whatever it was,
Yeah.
St. Joe. It probably would have made more sense just to skip that altogether. And then his brother's like, yeah, there are bases over in St. Joe. And then maybe he has like a panic attack and like passes out, like walking over there. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. And I like the episode. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, for me, I would put it as a weaker episode.
Okay. Okay. Well, so I can't really comment on the university again from the game because I don't remember. So that is I'll concede that to you. Let's call that a weak point. But I'll fight you on the panic attacks and the poor writing in this episode because I thought it had really good writing.
I didn't say it had poor writing. I said there were some really good written parts and other things that felt not so good.
Okay, okay. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I feel like it like when I was talking about why this maybe is one of my favorites was because of the look at Joel. So like I liked that if we can call it a mini story arc with the panic attacks, although I do concede the criticism of like it being wrapped up in half an episode is kind of, but I mean, I guess maybe he still is going to have panic attacks later in the show. I guess we don't know that it's done.
If there is some permanence to it, then I'm okay with it. But if it's contained in just this episode, it feels like a ham-fisted device to illustrate his concern for Ellie, which I love. I love that concern and like the whole dynamic with her finding out about Sarah and, Ellie being like, I'm not her, and he's like, don't you dare say anything else. Like that was amazing. But
yeah.
If it's just this episode, I think for me, it feels like a clunky plot tool.
I do. That's a fair criticism if we never see it again. But even if we don't ever see it again, I think it's fair that it only showed up now. Do you agree with that?
Sure.
Just as long as it didn't get resolved now as well.
Yes. Yes.
Because I feel like
yeah. I don't have an issue with. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No. That's what we're here for.
I don't have an issue with it showing up. It's definitely, and you're helping me kind of process this. If it never comes back again, then it feels bad to me. Showing up feels fine. They've bonded. There's been, great dad jokes being told and etc. So it makes sense now showing up. If we never see it again, I'm like,
yeah,
really?
Okay. But because like I said, I really liked this. Fair criticism if it's just a half episode thing. I'll give you that. But and I know you agree with me here, but I think it makes sense that it showed up now because he's kind of letting his walls down and they're connecting. Um, and also the points where it happens in the episode, I feel like line up really well. And the culminating moment for me isn't when he shows up at the end and they're reunited or whatever. It's his conversation with his brother in the bar, or I think it just I don't know if they're in a bar, but the
Yeah,
conversation he and Tommy
next to
have
Lynn or
where
something.
um he's like, I'm failing in my sleep. I just thought that scene was like so powerful. And apparently I'm not looking at it right now, but I saw somewhere that like Neil Druckmann said that part of that was improvised by Pedro Pascal in the moment.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, and I just thought that was really well, especially because a bit earlier when we get the scene of Joel, like he's like mumbling in his sleep and then he wakes up and he's like freaking out because like he was supposed to be on watch and
Mhm.
he failed by falling
Yeah,
asleep, and Ellie kind of had to take the brunt of that. Like she was the one that, I mean, nothing happened so it was fine, but like he failed in his sleep, like quite literally in that
yeah,
case. So I don't know, I liked all those moments, and I do think if it does never show up again, there is some resolution to it in that he accepts, this, like he accepts what, I don't want to say his duty. That's not what I mean, but like he comes to terms with it in that he is going to go with her. He's going to still try. Like, he's not like giving up type of thing.
mhm.
Um, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm assuming he has, 20 years of a guilt complex of like the ultimate failure, which
Yeah.
is your child dying, and so I don't think, I maybe Joel 20 years ago would be a lot more, akin to being like, yeah, I'll take her down to, St. Joe or wherever they were going, Colorado State University, wherever they were going. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 20 years of guilt brewing plus Tess, his lover and probably closest friend for like the last 10 plus years,
Yeah.
gone. Bill and Frank gone. I mean,
His
yeah,
brother moving on and about to be a dad himself,
yeah,
which
and
that
there's
wasn't in the
definitely.
game, right? We were kind of talking about this when we were watching together,
I
but
think in the game there's raiders who attack, and his brother gets injured. Is I think what happens, like he gets shot or something. I think I can't remember. And so his brother like physically can't
mm.
take her. Um,
But does he
but
have like a partner like in the show? Like a wife? Like I don't know if they're married.
no, I don't. Well, I don't remember if he has a partner, but it's definitely not so antagonistic. Like the
Mm.
vibes I got in the show was, oh great, your brother's here. He's the reason you guys did all that bad stuff.
Yeah.
Which, Tommy probably indulged a little bit in that as well. Of like, yeah, we killed a lot of good people, but
Yeah.
Joel was really the one.
Yeah, we were joking during our reaction of like,
Yeah,
yeah, he probably just blamed everything on Joel, and that's why he's not a
yeah.
fan.
So, there were definitely some weird vibes though that I think I even said in the reaction, like there's some weird tension here. Cause like the reason for Tommy suddenly getting off the radio was his partner basically being like, you have to stop reaching out to Joel because it's too dangerous for our, like, these are the rules. Like we
Mm-hmm.
don't reach out.
That was kind of
Um,
messed up.
yeah. Yeah. Which I'm guessing maybe they had just found out they were pregnant and it was like, hey, if we're going to protect, like this
Mm-hmm.
changes things, like we have to really, but I don't know. So some weird energy there.
That makes sense. Yeah, I don't think it's anything beyond that though. I'm not saying you do, but like
Right.
I don't think there's any
Right.
like she's secretly like the bad guy or anything,
Oh, no,
Like I think
yeah.
it's just that dynamic. And before we move on completely from this, one other last thing I wanted to talk about that I really enjoyed during like the panic attacks is I think it's the second one he has, and it's because he sees that young woman who looks like presumably what Sarah would look like if she had
Yeah.
had the time to grow up. And then they gut punch you again by having her have a daughter that also looks like Sarah. So it's kind of like what his
could have
life could
been.
have been. Like he could have had a
Yeah.
grandchild by now.
Mhm.
So I thought that was, really nice fuel to be triggering that second panic attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
just,
and
uh,
and I'm trying to think about in the game. how they find out about Sarah, like how Ellie finds out about Sarah, because that detail,
Yeah.
I definitely don't remember a standoff of her being like, I'm not her, and like the tension there.
So I didn't remember this obviously, but I saw like some comparison clip, and it was that clip from the show, and it was like word for word a sequence from the game. I don't know
Oh,
where in the
okay.
game. I don't know where in the game that comes in.
Okay.
But yeah, that was almost like verbatim.
There's been a couple of sequences like after they get to Bill and Frank's, and he's like, "Okay, you can come with me." He's like, "Here's my 3 rules." That was almost word for word. The same as well. So I didn't remember that. That's great to know though. It gives me more kind of pride in the showrunners staying true to the source material. But I don't remember how they found out, because
I don't either.
like we talked about, Tommy's partner I don't think's in the game. So then, and definitely the haircut thing's not there either. And so there's no moment for, which I like how they placed the plot device of her son and Tommy's niece, like there. And Ellie being like, "Oh, I'm sorry for your kids," and like, "Oh, that was just that felt." It made sense to me, and it didn't feel. It didn't, even though I was complaining about ham-fisting plot devices, that felt like a natural. Like, okay, I see where this is going.
Yeah, I agree. And also that just it's like this show is almost just so cruel. Like they keep stopping in these like, given the apocalypse around them, these like idyllic places that they could just like, well, if we just stopped here and created a life, like it Bill and Frank's, or that's their name, right? I always want to say Bill and Ted. But Bill and Frank's house, and now this like how is this place even real in Jackson Hole? Like this is like I would want to live there right now. Like even no zombie apocalypse. Like sign me up for that. That that communist. That was so funny with Tommy. It was like, no, it's not. He's like, oh wait.
Yeah. Well, they're Texas boys, so we must defeat the zombies and communism. So, yeah, it's interesting. I'm too spoiled on The Walking Dead to like it. Kind of it's a little bit too much of a belief suspension for me of like how these people not like died by now. But
which on that note, it's kind of a nice segue. 2 things. Well, one quick question, then I wanted to talk about it more on the whole. This is leading me to something else. So I'm going all over the place, but real quick before we forget entirely, the people that they run into in the cabin at the very start of the episode. I loved that because I loved that. I don't think the character had a name, but like the man was saying like, we've been living here before you were born. So like this wasn't like their apocalyptic hideaway. This was just their life. So I love that, like, not that they prefer the apocalypse to before, but like nothing really changed for them. You know what I'm saying? And I just loved that, like, just I don't know. There's not really much more to say to that.
But it kind of gives me vibes from Lost of Rose and I can't think of his name, but the couple that grows old together and dies on the island.
Bernard and Rose?
Yeah. Yeah, Bernard and Rose. Despite all the craziness, like they just had the little hideaway, and that's where they lived out their days.
Yeah. And I love their dynamic of like, did you lie to him? Or are you lying to me?
Yeah.
So that was great. But then, okay, the point I wanted to lead into is they warn them about beyond the river, like how they see just the dead bodies or whatever. Is the implication that the Jackson Hole people are what he was referring to, or is there another group that we just haven't run into yet that they were referring to?
I think both work. I think the implication, I think, is that it's the Jackson Hole people, because there's a line of dialogue where they mention like, but what about the rumors? And I think it's I hate that I can't remember her name. Tommy's partner is like, well, we got to do what we have to keep people from like looking around, I guess. But I think it works doubly well because we also know that David and David's group is farther beyond, not across the river, because they actually go south to the university, so it doesn't even matter. But it for me, it's a bit of a foreshadow subtly that there are still nefarious characters to come across. But I think short term, it's implied to be the Jackson Hole people, who kind of created like this boogeyman type persona.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess it is true though, because I mean, they did surround them, and if that dog had smelled it on them, they presumably would have been killed on sight.
Yeah.
It seems like Joel knowing Tommy's name was probably the only thing that really saved them. So
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if the Death River people or whatever we want to call them was referring to them, but I think it does make sense given that context of like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're like really idyllic inside, but like most people
Yeah.
aren't ever going to make it that far.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I just wanted to get your take on it, especially since you remember the game better, if there was any distinct line to draw there with David or these people or whoever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely not. I think, and also I mentioned in the reaction, I think it's either set up right next to the dam or there's a closer link, because I think the raiders are attacking to get to the dam or something, or the power station. I can't remember.
Yeah. I remember you saying that, and that reminded me. And then I saw another, like, I don't know if it was like on TikTok or something, but I saw another, it was talking about this. And you're right. Like in the game, you first come upon them at the dam because they're trying to get it functional, I guess, to give them power or whatever. So seemingly in the show, they just kind of skip past that because clearly Jackson has power. So I guess they're just kind of, for sake of time or whatever, skipping that little subsection.
Yeah.
I guess maybe to showcase like what's possible. Like this is like, maybe you don't need to go on this quest. Like this is the life you could be living.
Right.
I don't know. That's just a random
right.
guess,
Yeah.
but yeah. But yeah, you were right about the dam.
Yeah. Well, presumably we have 2 episodes left, or 3?
There's 9 or 8?
9.
So 3, right? 7, 8, 9.
Okay, good. All of a sudden I was like, yeah, so I think next, without spoiling, next 2 episodes are going to be David, and the last episode is going to be the finale, obviously, but
yeah,
not saying anything else.
Does you were talking about you're comparing this episode to the game, how you kind of take over as Ellie for the first time. Do you think it's possible that we kind of get that in this next episode, since I mean, presumably the raiders aren't like currently chasing them anymore, but she's still now alone with Joel. Like this next episode, we may get kind of what you're looking for with her, kind of like maybe she'll have to fight some people off. Maybe, I don't know where they're going to go.
It's definitely possible. Because if they're continuing the games, then Ellie will take a more central role as someone who can fight for herself. We got a little bit. I love that we didn't get like a 6-minute montage of them like practicing with guns, and now she's an expert. And so that's why I'm actually a little bit okay with her not kind of taking over, because maybe it would have felt too quick.
Yeah.
But going with what you're saying, I could see it happening, and I would be okay with it, because it would start to transition her into more of that role. So.
Okay. Yeah. Does that make you? And again, I know I'm not trying to paint you as hating this episode, because I know you didn't.
I didn't hate it. I know. It's a good episode.
I know. That's what I said. I'm not trying to paint that picture. But if we do get that in the next episode, would that make you like this one more?
Yeah, if there was a little bit of a continuation of the university sequence into this next episode, yes, I would like it more. It's kind of like going back to episode 4. Episode 4 isolated, I didn't dislike it, but definitely was the weakest one. Now getting past episode 5, I love the two as a pair for what they are. So I could definitely see that being the case for sure. Okay. Which, who knows though? Because at the end of the university sequence, there's a time jump in the game, just like, and it's a similar time jump. So in the game, we jump from summer when Henry and Sam die. We go from summer, jump forward to fall. And then when Joel gets injured, we jump from fall to winter.
Okay.
So there's another time gap there. So I'm curious if we will just jump into that time gap, or if, like you're saying, is it possible that we have a continuation of the university sequence, which I'm okay with either, honestly. I'm okay with saying, yeah, it is what it was. It was a 6-minute sequence or something more.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see kind of where we go from here, which the new episode is tonight, so we don't have to wait too long to find out. But yeah, because I don't, again, don't have the best memory of the games. And I know they're making changes, obviously, but I don't know how. Like they're in the middle of nowhere. Like I don't know I don't know what she's gonna do to help him. I mean, he's
Yeah.
like unconscious. Can she even lift him onto the horse? Like I doubt it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, that's the awesome part of the game is he doesn't get stabbed. He falls on rebar, I think. So it's a similar type of wound though,
mhm.
but she's having to like, she's surrounded in the game and she can't pick him up, but she's like literally dragging him as best she can. I mean, it's pretty intense for sure, but we'll have to see.
We will have to see indeed.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know what you guys thought of the episode and give us some of your theories and thoughts. And we'll watch this next episode and go from there.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's everything, right?
Yeah, I think so. Unless you had anything else.
We need like a strong outro, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, ba-da-da-da, the Pixelists. Doing. You know, I don't know. We're like, these douchebags. I hate these guys.
Why am I listening to this?
Yeah. All right. Well, bye.
See you guys.
See ya.